What's up, YouTube fam? Now, it's kind of funny, and I feel like maybe I should apologize, but maybe I shouldn't. I'm not really sure. But, like, I know I'm extremely late to the party here. And it's not that I haven't been watching the material, it's just the simple fact of, like, I really enjoyed this series so much since the beginning. I didn't even realize that there was an audience to even provide reviews for. And not to say that there's not people that's not going to listen. I didn't even realize that potentially there may be an audience for people to want to listen to me about this series, because I just really do enjoy it just that much. I mean, when I go to the conventions and stuff like this is absolutely it is mandatory. It's the absolute must when it comes down to AMC's slate, yet alone The Walking Dead. But something, especially maybe this is isolation that's going on, that's just like, look, I need to get on the bandwagon now, because just even if it's too late, I just need to get on it now, and start covering these episodes, because man, I'd be having so much to talk about, and I feel like it's just me versus Chris Hardwick after watching The Talking Dead afterwards, of just trying to get out my thoughts. Of course, he doesn't hear me because I'm talking to the screen, but nonetheless, that's just my process. Watch the episode, watch Talking Dead, bouncing back my ideas with Chris, even though Chris doesn't know I'm throwing them to him, but it's all good. But anyway, let's start talking about The Walking Dead. Although we're on season 10, this is going to be talking about episode 14. Let's get this review done, and let's continue. Let's get this going. Let's get ready for the new series and everything. But quickly, let's talk about episode 14, which is Look at the Flowers. And I gotta say, the name being removed from the rolling credits, that pause, it hurt. And although episode 13 was the last episode, which probably shouldn't have been my first episode to do a review anyway, because I had my thoughts on that, but I digress. But her name being removed from the credits, it was so noticeable to me. It was like when Andy Leakin left, I was just like, wow, like, you know, people, they have to move forward with their careers, and as a fan of the show and a fan of her character and a fan of her, is you just notice that type of stuff. But that's instantly the first thing. It's just like boom. But anyway, I gotta say, this Carol Negan dynamic / tag team, I'm all for it. I need more of that, because it's just so funny, because you had like really two of the biggest badasses on this series that really brought themselves to like mutual terms to understand each other and to be able to talk. Like the power of just being able to conversate with somebody is so powerful that people really underestimated at that time, and quite frankly take it for granted. So the fact that they were able to have that conversation, one in the jail cell, and then ultimately after Negan got the job done and killing Alpha and removing her head, I just feel like that was such a powerful thing to open up this episode with. And, you know, as Negan talk about the new book of Negan, I think that, you know, when you talk about the revelations of humanity, I think it's so crazy to see how that character is just developing. I love that. I really did. I literally was the first thing I wanted to do when I first watched the show air, and once it re-aired tonight, as dead tired as I was, I just wanted to see that scene again, because I felt like it spoke volumes to everything, period, in the show and in the world. Like it was really, it was really something. But I do love how this episode did a lot of good callbacks. Obviously, the head on the stake, obviously synonymous with, you know, all the people from Hilltop and so on being killed in the beginning. And also the score that was with that too is the same score that was used from the initial time when the Whisperers did it. The title of the episode, obviously, Look at the Flowers, is Carol's catchphrase, which we'll talk about in a second. And then also just going back to Atlanta. Just that alone was just so synonymous with this show. So the highway, and I think the Highway 66, if I'm not mistaken, but the highway, and then going into the city, and the city view is just, that was, you know. But anyway, speaking of emotional too, Eugene giving that emotional speech back to everybody about him communicating with somebody and wanting to have to go meet her and everything of that sort. You know, to see somebody that's, you know, partially robot, partial Vulcan, that was a very human thing of him to do, to really encompass all that emotion, to be able to go in front of them fearless, to let them know that that was his mission, regardless of either building the courage and whatever the results may have been afterwards. For him to be able to do that and phantom all that emotion into that speech, number one, is an amazing performance, but number two, is the character. I was head over heels for it. I was with him. I was like Ezekiel. I'm like, look, I back this guy. If that's what he wants to do, then let's do it. You know what I mean? To be honest, I just think that this episode did give a lot of display of humanity in this like post-apocalyptic time where everything's gone to shit. So it's, to kind of see people still really have that human factor in them, and outside that barbaric, survival instinct, I can appreciate that. But then there's Beta. Badass Beta, as we're gonna call him, as I refer him to, but now you guys know that's how I refer him to as. Yeah, that all humanity thing, absolutely not. No, Beta's not going for all that. Beta is still gonna do what he has to do, and although it's not really acceptance of the idea of being alpha yet, he still gives zero about anybody. He's all about the system that they built that got him to this point. He's very loyal to Alpha, regardless of Alpha being zombie or walker or not. But nonetheless, he's not for the shits, as somebody quickly found out on 2 separate occasions with him. Speaking of Alpha, the ghost of Alpha, you know what? I appreciate it so much, because to get more Samantha Morton on the show, more screen time, feed me all of it, because she's such an amazing actress and gave a hell of a performance throughout this series. When you talk about casting for Alpha, I couldn't have guessed it would have been as amazing as it's been. The Walking Dead, when it comes to casting for these bringing these comic book characters to life, I mean, they're swinging for the fence, and there's home runs after home run. It is a derby with their casting. But nonetheless, Carol has just been truly tested this season, and the ghost of Alpha following her around is just another testament for what she has to endure. I really like the symbolic factor of that. Carol having to really, face the mirror in this situation. Her having to, some of the things that she hasn't really metabolized, more or less grieve properly. A lot of her mental health that she has not. And I can imagine in a time like this that you can't. But she hasn't had time to really sit down and like put things into perspective. The Ghost of Alpha put it all in her face and said, yeah, handle this now. This is what you reap. This is what it is. And that's just what it's going to be. And it took Carol a lot of willpower to be able to bring that together instantly in this episode. Otherwise, it could have easily been her demise. Now, next, we're going to Negan and Daryl. And the whole Neil to Alpha scene was the most fascinating scene in this episode. I love that unity between the two of them. Give me more of it. Give me absolutely more of it. I love the two of them together. And, Jeffrey D. Morgan being able to work with people that he hasn't been able to work with a lot in the past. Obviously, him and Daryl, Norman Reedus, have been able to work together. But him and Carol, that was one of their first times really being able to work together. Jeffrey Dean, just the guy is, that's why he's one of the best in the business. He elevates every scene, no matter if it's their first time working together or not. He just is an instant added booster into anything that he does. Just Daryl and Negan dynamic, more please. Again, I love the unity. I love that thinking on the fly. I love how they're just synced and like they just knew. I had to go back. I was like, was there some type of clue or something I missed? I'm all for it. But anyway, going back to Carol a little bit as the episode progressed. Carol, Alpha telling Carol to look at the flowers. Yeah, so that's a no. You're not going to pull a Carol on Carol. You're not going to use her catch line that she used on those little girls on her. So yes, that was the icing on the cake for Carol to be able to really pull it all together and face, her fears, her past, and all that other good stuff to move forward. As she said, not yet. A little bit too late. And yes, with the name of the title, I knew it was going to be something really catchy and funny that they did with it, and I love how they executed it. Last but not least, although I do drive a car, it doesn't matter, but I drive a car. I'm probably going to trade this in once the isolation's over because I need to give me one of those turbo or slash supercharged horses that they're using, because the way how they move from Virginia to Georgia in like a day, I need that type of horsepower parked outside the house, because their jetpacks and how they're getting around is something. But nonetheless, that view of Atlanta going into this gave me all the feels, just all the memories of why I started liking the show, and just how synonymous, how iconic it is with this show. Nonetheless, Ezekiel having a laugh brought me the joy that we needed, because we see that he's suffering from an internal illness and it's taking a toll, and his travel has been one of those type of things. And I really appreciate the arc with this, because it's like you don't let things such as disease, illness, or whatever stop you from living. The fact that he still wanted to go on the trip, the fact that even he suffered through the trip, for him to get that laugh just was like, oh, hold the tears back, people. Hold the tears. Hold the tears. But it brought me so much joy. But King Ezekiel, which I know he's just Ezekiel now, being introduced to a new character, Princess and the King. Anyway, okay. Didn't see that coming. But I gotta say, for anybody that knows the city of Atlanta, the Princess character, whether they, there's some new, they're going to give some type of new spin to the iconic comic book character in Princess, or if it's just going to be some new iteration, sort of say, and on the television show, we'll see how it goes. But I will say, based on what I'm seeing right now, of how vibrant she is, and that personality, and how everything's being all staged around in Atlanta, it's the typical characteristic of a thriving person in Atlanta. I am looking forward to this so much, because I think they're going to have so much fun with this. It's going to blow us out the water, because, like, again, that personality and that characteristic mannerism is a typical Atlanta person. Plus added the fact of the source, the source material from the comics, if they use that, or they, again, to give it some new spin, Princess is going to be one to keep your eyes on. I'm looking forward to that. Didn't see it coming. I am ready for it. But nonetheless, the episode ends with Beta getting ready to wreak havoc. And with him in front of that herd walking towards the screen, I am ready. I am ready. But nonetheless, we'll get to episode 15. We'll review it. But I had to get this out. I need to get started on doing these reviews for this. So here I am. Rock with me, because we got a long way to go. We got new other shows to talk about as well, too, for AMC. So, I appreciate you listening to this one, and let's keep moving forward with more and more stuff coming out.